What's going on, guys? I just wanted to do a video on this because this was I don't even know what this company actually is, but my brother actually told me about this one, and he was in this thing, I think, around $55. And I know he made, he was in it until $55. I know he made some pretty good cash here. I don't know if he's still in it or not, but he told me about it, and I was skeptical about it my damn self, but this thing ran up fucking like a beast, and it's amazing. So, that being said, when this thing comes back down on this correction that I actually foresee happening, potentially, this is something I want to keep a close eye on for picking up on this downside here that looks like it could actually get. So, if you look at the RSI, this is on the weekly, right? It could be potentially, it's hard to say for sure, but on the weekly, it could be creating a head and shoulders pattern, potentially, right? But that could be just speculation. It's tough to say right now because it's kind of ugly. Or it could just be creating, let me get rid of some of these lines because I don't like them. Or it could be creating a smaller head and shoulders pattern here. Left shoulder, head, maybe right shoulder. Or what else could it be doing? This is all speculation right now because there's no way to know. Or it could have been creating, which it did break out of as of right now, right? A little falling wedge. We had a beautiful W breakout on it. And maybe a bull flag, maybe falling wedge, something like that, falling channel. So, you can see that we are very, very very, very overbought. And most of the time when it came up in this trend line area here, it did in fact have a fall. So right now, let's see, we are lower on the right, higher on the left. Let's take a look at this. We are lower on the left, higher on the right. So there is weekly bearish divergence, and the RSI is slowly starting to roll here, very slowly. Okay, so my speculation and my analysis that I have here, if you look at these candles, we have a 9 flash coming in next week on this thing, and it's right at potential resistance. It could even be a little bit above it, right? 85.99 is actually the breakout. And we did get some good volume coming in. But if we get a red TD9 flash, then we could actually have a weekly drop here. So, which could pull us potentially to the bottom of this rising channel, depending. And then we'll have to go from there and decide if it's going to fall out of this rising channel, or if it's going to find it as support and then continue higher. I'm sure that'll have a lot to do with what's going on with the rest of the stock market. So we're going to take a fib retracement here and see what's been going on here. So you can see that the 0.618, as soon as it found support and got above this 0.618, which was right around like $40, it had a beautiful, beautiful breakout. And obviously at the time that was a breakout of this, what looks to me like potentially another rising channel here, right? So with the breakout, maybe, or a bull flag, right? So we could say this is a bull flag here, because that maybe would give us a bigger target and would make more sense. But still, I think it ran up higher than that. But let's just look and see. So this would have brought us to roughly close to the $60 range on this target here. So you can see here, though, we broke right through it. We ran all the way up, and we got resistance roughly at the 68.55 level. So I am going to keep that in mind as support, and then obviously down to this 0.382, that'll be a support box there to keep our eyes on, because that could turn into potentially new support. So if this does in fact have a red week and we come down, It doesn't mean we have to come to the bottom of this channel here, but we do want to look at short term what we have potentially going on here. So if we base off of this support here, right? If we base it off of this support here on the weekly, let's take a look at the daily here and see if we can get a better view of what's going on. So on the daily here, we have some massive volume coming in. And, you know, as of right now, it does look like we created a lower high and, you know, potentially a little double top here. But if, in fact, this is creating something like a falling wedge or going to, you know, if, in fact, it's going to create some kind of falling wedge or something like that, we'll have to wait and see how that pans out here on this guy. This stock has been absolutely, like, ridiculous as far as, let me just do a couple things here. So maybe I'll get rid of this trend line because that one's ugly. So if we go like this, right, this could be a bull flag on the daily. So this is something to keep in mind as well, because even if we aren't going to have any further downside as far as, you know, way down here in this rising channel, we have pretty solid support at 84.32. And then if you were going to play this, you would probably just want to wait for an hourly close above this 88.22 or above this 90.32. This would probably be your biggest confirmation, would be an hourly close with massive volume above 90.43. And at that point, you know, it's going to be another blue sky breakout. But seeing that the weekly has bearish divergence and we have that red TD9 flash coming in, you know, it's something to keep in mind, but that takes a little while to play out. If you look at the daily here, another thing to keep in mind is that if this is, in fact, whoops, I'm drawing all kinds of weird shit over here. If this is, in fact, a head and shoulders pattern on this daily, right, then we could, whether it's a larger one or if it's a smaller one here where this is the shoulder, this is the head, and then this ends up being the head here, and then we end up getting some kind of shoulder here. That's a potential, but right now I can't call that because it does still looks pretty good on the daily here, because this kind of looks like, to me actually, it looks like an inverse head and shoulders here. So we could be looking for a little further move up on this thing actually, short term. You can see we reset the RSI. This could have been a 9 flash and it ended up being a 1 flash. Well, actually, this would have been a 9 flash, but we reset the RSI here on the 8 candle. And then we had a beautiful volume that came in and a nice green candle again, but we still haven't got any type of breakout here. We did break above this line here at 86.14, but this top trend line, which we've been using as resistance quite a bit, is at 87.52. We did have a fake break here, and then we fell back in. Then we had a big wick down here, a little bit below this trend line actually, probably stopped some people out at 81.95. So I guess we could put a box here, something like that, right? I'd probably say put a box there. So that way, if you are in this play, you kind of can see what's going on here. If this thing was to fall and break below 83.78 and it was to wick down to this 82.07, it could still come back up unless it gets an hourly close below here and gets rejected again at this 83.78. Then we would be looking for some further downside. We have this purple Ichimoku cloud on the daily at 75.77 and the bottom of this first support at $75 for the downside targets anyway. So for me, you know, I really like this thing, and I am looking and I'm hoping that it comes down too, so I'm a little biased towards that. But if it does actually get support in an hourly close and some volume above this 90.62, that would be a potential long. But seeing how overbought the RSI is on the daily, I kind of doubt it. So as of right now, I mean on the weekly, So as of right now, what are we creating here? Looks like on the hourly, so that we can get kind of a close-up of what's going on here. This kind of looks like falling channel, right, that we broke out of. So this was your falling channel. So we did break out. Now in the past, we broke out, faked out, came back down, tried to catch it as support. We were too soon in the pattern breakout, came back down, double bottomed here, and now we're coming back up. We got rejected again. And did we create bearish divergence? Let me look. Not quite. Pretty close, though. Not quite bearish divergence. Came back down, and we're trying to test this again as support. So, seeing this, obviously you could tell that we did wick below, but then we bought back up and got a close above. So this 87.56 is a crucial level. And if we can't hold it, then we could come all the way back down to 83.98 or 85.76, but you can see in the past we haven't been able to hold that too much as support as well. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind there. And this red box here on the hourly is at 85.58. And we could come down, and we could actually either, you know, double bottom here, which would be excellent, or, you know, maybe double bottom here. You know, it's too soon to say. But as of right now, let's look at the actually, where's my MACD? Do we not have MACD on this thing? As of right now, it does look like we were going to potentially have some further downside there. And we look like we kind of double topped here on the 4 hour as well. So this is a tricky one. You know, for me, if you were already in this thing and you've been long in this thing, I mean, you could still have some further upside as long as it maintains this level here, $83.96 to $84. That would be your support there. And if it was, in fact, going to continue higher here, you do have a pretty mean bull flag breakout here. So what you would do is you would take this flag pull here for the absolute bullish case scenario here. Just want to make sure my brightness was up because it went dim, right? This would be your upside target. Your upside target is all the way up here at 109.23 if in fact it can get support in an hourly close above this 90.47. Let's take a look at the hourly. See if we got any hourly closes above this trend line. We have not. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. We're having a very hard time here getting above this roughly 89.77 to as high as 90.26. So for me, I would enter a long trade if we get confirmation we don't have any red TD9 flashes or anything, if this thing can get above here. You could, of course, play breakout trades out of here, but it's kind of risky to do because you can see that we have been having very hard time getting, you know, we've had a lot of fakes out of this. So, you know, for putting in a long every time here, you would pretty much get stopped out every time if you weren't just taking profits up in this range and doing this small little couple dollar swing. So shorter term, I am looking potentially for some further upside if in fact this doesn't break this trend line here at 84.07. And if we can continue to push up higher, then we could see above this 90.32. That would be amazing. So I just want to keep this one on the radar here because during these times where everything is down and everything's really getting crushed, there's some stocks out here that are still performing very well and continuing bullish trajectory. And this is, as of right now, is one of them. But like I said, the one thing you want to be cautious of is that this is hanging out up in these ranges here of some pretty overbought territory here. And you can see in the past when we get up in these higher ranges here, we have some pretty good pullbacks here, and you know, we are really up in this range right now. So it is something to be very, very cautious of. But even still, an hourly close above this would be very bullish, 90.47. And, you know, then at that point, you would probably just keep your stop loss below this trend line at $85. That would probably be your biggest risk to reward here that you could do with a run up to potentially $109 unless it continues up higher. But with the RSI being so overbought, the RSI would have to come up pretty high. But you can see in the past we have actually came up in this 100-something level. So it doesn't have to dump just because it's up here. Because 92, and where are we? 84. So we are a little overextended, but you know, 70 is a good level, but 84 is getting extended. 90 is very overextended. So we could still come up in that 90 level, but it's very risky to be in that level as far as on the weekly. But on the daily, we are not as overextended, and it looks like it is turning up to go up for another run here, and it does look like it broke this trend line here. So I get mixed emotions on that because we've came all the way up here and we are still way down here. So if we do break this trend line, this could be your $110 level here. So I want to keep that in mind for a potential of a breakout trade here. If you get a confirmation above this 90.32, you could long this thing with a stop loss at 85. And that's kind of where I'm at. And if we do eventually, once we reach our targets potentially, or if something rolls over and we have further downside here, then your breakdown target of this thing, just to show both ends of this coin here, obviously you have your fib retracements level 71, 59, 49, but the main breakdown target of this rising channel, depending on when or if it breaks down, is 52.82. So that's where I'm at. And obviously if this breaks out higher, like further up in this range in a couple days from now, then your breakout target goes up a little higher. So, that's just something to keep in mind as well. But I did want to do an update, and not an update, but I did want to do a video on this thing. But, so I am bullish on it, but at the same time, I see some warning signs that are a little bit scary here, and you can tell that it kind of is getting some kind of rounding structure here. So, depending on if this ends up doing something like that, it's hard to say. So I am going to keep my eye on it and expect that the only way that I would probably ever go long on this thing as of where it is in the trend is if we can find newfound support at this 90, maybe 90.50 or something like that, and then just look for an hourly close and a confirmation above there. So anyway, guys, that is where we're at with PAR. All right, that's all I got for you. Peace.